Hello. So today's lesson, we're going to be looking at how we calculate the area of a triangle. So we're going to start as usual with our times table starters. So while you're working on that, you can pause the tape. Welcome back. So let's have a look at our answers. So here we go, just marking your own. Okay, so thinking about the area of a triangle, if we first think about something we've done in a previous lesson, the area of a rectangle, and obviously we would just say, well, the area of that rectangle there would be h times b or b times h. But if I was to then split that rectangle into two, so we've got two identical triangles now. Okay, and then I was to think, well, the area of the two triangles together is still b times h. But what if I was to get rid of that half, and I'm just left with one triangle now? What would the area of that be? So if we think back to earlier, we just said we've got our area of our rectangle would be b multiplied by h. And we saw that by taking half of it away, we were left with a triangle. And the area is obviously half as big now. So we could say our area of our triangle is a half multiplied by the base times the height. So make sure you copy that equation down. That's something we're going to need to know for the rest of the lesson. So once you're ready, side heading examples. Let's have a look at this first example. Okay, so we've got, remembering that we know area, which we're going to abbreviate to A, is 1/2 multiplied by the base, which is 5, multiplied by the height, which is 4. That is 1/2 multiplied by, we know 5 times 4 is 20. And then half of 20 is 10. When you look at the question, we've got lengths in centimeters. So our area must be in centimeters squared. So look at our second example now then. So here, it's not a right angle triangle, but we're still looking at what we call our vertical height. So we are not, when we're doing area, we're not interested in any of these slanted sides. We're only interested in the height and the size of the base. So again, area is equal to 6. No, it isn't. The area is equal to 1/2 times 6 times 7, which is 1/2 multiplied by, we know that 6 times 7 is 42, and 1/2 of 42 is 21. Looking at our question again, we've got lengths in centimeters, so our area is centimeters squared. So let's have a look at our last example. So this is one you might see like this. So it's meant to throw you off a little bit. Okay, we've got the whole triangle is kind of slanted, but even when it's like this, it gives you enough information. So this is still the height of the triangle, and this is still the base of the triangle. Now looking here, we've got slightly more difficult numbers. I don't know about you, but I don't know my 6.5 times table off the top of my head. Okay, so we're going to need to do some box method multiplication. But let's start off with what we do know is that area is equal to half multiplied by the base, which we've got 6.5, multiplied by the height, which is 13. So we've got decimals. For this part, we forget about the decimal and we partition that 6.5, we call it 65 and partition it into 60 and 5, and the 13 becomes 10 and 3. And then this makes our job a lot easier. We know 1 times 6 is 6 with 2 zeros. 1 times 5 is 5 with 1 0. 3 times 6 is 18, add 1 0, and then 3 times 5 is 15. And we use column addition. Very careful with these and make sure we get our columns right. So if we get our columns wrong, our answer is going to be wrong. So our first column, our units column, we've got 5. Our tens column, we've got 8, plus 5 is 13, plus 1 is 14, so we're going to have 4, carry 1, and then our hundreds column, we've got 1 plus 6 plus 1 is 8. So we've got 845. But wait, remember we've got one number after the decimal point there, so we must make sure we've got one number after the decimal point in the answer as well. Looking at the question, we've got lengths in millimeters, so our area, must be millimeters squared. Okay, so another side heading now, main task. So just a quick thing about the challenge questions. For the first one, we are looking for the whole of that purple shape. And then in the second one, we're looking for the grey area, just the grey area. So we've got, that's a right angle triangle. And that point here is the center of the circle. So calculating what the area of the grey part of that would be. So pause while you're working on those. So welcome back. So let's look at the answers, just mark your own. You managed to get the right answers for the challenge questions. Very well done. And then let's have a look at our checking question. So side heading, checking question. Okay, so there's a few ways of looking at this. We're given the area and we know the height. There's a couple of different ways we could do it. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to imagine that this triangle, I'm going to turn it back into a rectangle. A rectangle now that is got a base of B and a height of 7. But we know then that the area of that rectangle must be twice as much as the area of the triangle. And so that's quite an easy one to do. So we're just looking at 112 multiplied by 2, which is 224. So if we wanted to know the size of B, we would divide this 224 by 7. So 7 doesn't go into 2, but 7 goes into 22 3 times with 1 left over. and then we've got 7 goes into 14 twice. So B must equal 32. We've got centimetres squared for area, centimetres for height. So our base must be in centimetres also. Okay, so thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon.